in it. Yeah. Okay.
Do you want to get yourself comfortable?
Sort yourself out. Yeah, it's going to be a long ride, baby. Okay, I'll ask you first. How did you find doing your own shoebox? Oh, you haven't done your shoebox,
That's
have
what
you?
I mean. I don't. So just start with diagonals and just say,
How did
do
you
like diagonal shoebox?
ask him by
Objectives in
watching?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, because if you've got ours, we've done our shoebox, so we can talk about ours, and then you
Yeah.
can talk about how it was to watch other people's. Okay, so could you explain what diagonals are and how you found them and how they were beneficial to you?
So diagonals are basically an actor, it can either be an actor or a character, sort of walking through their life and walking through different times in their life. So like you can go from 2 years old, 4 years old, 6 years old, and just pinpointing moments that come naturally for you in your lifetime. So as a company, we did some diagonals as an exercise to sort of find ourselves, but also as an exercise where we could implement them into working our monologues. I never got a chance to do diagonals due to time constraints, but watching other people's was really sort of eye-opening for me. It was really lovely to see sort of like people reflecting upon their life and to see the actual natural reactions that sort of came from doing that, and I feel like that really sort of highlighted what it means to just sort of be in the space, and that's something that we've been working on in like our workshop Wednesdays and stuff, about just finding simplicity in what we're doing, and I feel like that was a really nice touch, and also it's sort of given me sort of like a bank of skills that I can use when I'm developing a character. So like obviously when you're doing it as yourself, you have to let things come naturally, but pre-planning what I'm going to say and then walking through diagonals as my character gives, although it's scripted, gives a natural sort of light to them, and it's just another way that I can explore the depth of my character in the monologues and explore my life outside of the play and outside of what has already been created for them.
It's alright, because we might not even need to use all of it. How
What did you say?
I just headbutted
Oh,
the chair,
okay.
so it shook a little bit, but we can just cover that up
Yeah.
with footage that can be go underneath
Yeah.
something. How was it for you watching other people's shoeboxes, and what did you learn from that?
So during this process with Will, we've been doing our shoeboxes, and that's basically putting in 4 items that mean something to us and have a story about us. And it's been about opening ourselves up to the company and just letting ourselves influence the work that we're doing, and not forgetting about who we are outside of the space and who we are outside of being an actor. Unfortunately, I never got to do my shoebox, again due to time constraints, but watching other people do theirs, I felt like it really made us gel as a company. There was, at times, there's been sort of like frictions in the company and divides in the company, and that was apparent when we were playing like games and warm-up activities, because there was like this dominating behaviour between all the boys, and sort of like there's sort of like been a divide between like the new members of the company and the older members of the company, because the older members knew the games that we were playing, whereas the new people didn't. And I feel like doing shoeboxes has helped us gel a little bit more, and it's helped us create sort of this environment where it's nice, and we feel like we're more open to each other. Obviously there's still so much rubbish that we need to rid out of the room, but I feel like it set us on a good path. Personally, I feel like watching people's shoeboxes and watching them in such a vulnerable state has made me a much more sympathetic person. I know that I sort of appreciate things more, and I appreciate that my life isn't actually as tough as it sometimes can seem, and that people go through a hell of a lot and you would never ever realise because of how positive they are. And that sort of put me on a path to be a more positive person, not only in my life but when I'm working, to think that actually, although there can be 1,000,001 things put down on you when you're trying to train as an actor, there's actually so much positive that you can take out of it and so much growth that you can take out of it. So I'm happy that I've watched people do them, because it's made me so much more humble about my own experiences, and it's made me sort of want to get to know people more and gel with the people so that I feel like we create a tighter collective.
Why is it important to learn about yourself, and what do you think you found out?
I feel like it's important to learn about yourself because you can't truly develop and train as an actor without properly analysing yourself, your weaknesses, your strong points. You need to know yourself before you can begin to allow your training to properly influence you. And that goes to digging back deep to things that you think aren't actually that relevant, but really they are influencing how your everyday behaviour is and how you're approaching working on a rehearsal floor. And one of them for me has been, I'm sort of quite a defeatist person. I've always sort of took it upon myself to blame other people for things when things aren't going right, when actually I can lay the blame on myself partly. So in my previous training, I've had issues with coursework and reflecting upon myself and stuff like that, and I found it really hard to do. And I laid the blame more on the fact that we wasn't being given this structure to work around. But actually coming into this environment, I now know that actually I need to think outside of the box, and I need to positively push myself and be positive about things. So I think it's really important to know that about myself, because that's only going to help me when I'm thinking about my training in the future and how effective it's going to be for me.
Were there any difficult points or points that you didn't fully get enough out of the 6 weeks?
I feel like these 6 weeks have been quite sort of bitty in the fact that we've not actually been able to do the amount of discovering ourselves and the amount of basis of company building than Will and ourselves probably would have liked to, because we've been having to do paperwork and induction things that just comes with part and parcel with the course. I would have absolutely loved to do more contact jams, because I feel like I found them situations quite uncomfortable to begin with, but I feel like as they carried on, I sort of began to become more sort of open and free to touch and to letting people in my personal space and to knowing the difference between having someone in that personal space and having distance between people. And I feel like that really helped me sort of open myself up to others, because I do really struggle to open up truthfully to people. And I feel like it created such a nice sort of atmosphere, and it made us all feel a lot warmer and appreciate more what we have around us. I would have loved as well to have the time to actually do my shoebox and do my diagonal, because I feel like that again would have been another experience for me to just open myself up and become a little bit more comfortable within myself and a little bit more comfortable with expressing myself and my views of the world to other company members. But obviously, unfortunately, due to time restraints, we couldn't do that. But it's definitely something that I'm willing to do in the future, and I want to do in the future, and I want to carry on doing more close-knit works, because I feel like it's developing my discipline, it's developing my rapport with other members of the company, and I feel like it's developing me, and I'm starting to get to know myself a little bit better.
And how will this help you moving forward?
Moving forward into my training, I know that after our short break, we've got a lot of heavy, intense technical workshops and technical weeks that we're going to have to undertake. And I feel like it's helped me because it's allowed me to understand my weaknesses a little bit better and my strengths. So it's allowed me to be able to apply these in these scenarios going through. And I feel like it's made me a lot more self-critical and self-analytical, which is going to be good, because when we're really intensely working, I've got to pick up on parts that I need to improve quickly, just like that. So I feel like it's given me that sort of scope on things, and as well, it's sort of being open to the other company members is going to help me moving forward in my training, because it's going to mean that I'm going to be that little bit more confident to put my ideas forward, and a little bit more confident to to work with them and challenge some of their views and ideas. And I feel like that's going to be really, really nice when we're working so close knit, doing all these technical skills and things, that it's just going to help me to sort of gain more out of what we're doing after our break.
You good to finish?
How long was that?